success stories told by the people who lived them.
We're going to have some guests on this show that everybody knows, and we're going to have guests on this show that nobody knows yet.
One by one, Nick Hyder is adding hits to the Hitstreak.
Blessings, folks. Welcome back to another episode of the Hitstreak. I'm your man, Nick Hyder, and today in the Hit Lab, I've got an extra special treat for you. Folks, check this out. He is the founder of Gerbrick Performance and the brand new director of player development at Indiana Wesleyan University. My man, Chase Gerbrick, is in the Hit Lab. How we doing, baby?
I'm doing great, Nick. Number one, thank you so much for having me on here. Obviously, we've talked about it quite a bit getting on here, and it just happened to work out perfectly that I was in town and we were able to get something figured out. So I appreciate you guys. I'm a huge fan of what the Hit Lab is doing. You guys are great, doing a great job. So I very, very thankful for the opportunity.
Well, you're batting 1,000, baby. That's the first hit of the episode right there. Well, man, we got a lot to get into, right? So first of all, folks, you're probably, if you're watching the episode today, you're like, man, like that guy doesn't age. Well, it's because he hasn't aged yet. He's 19 years old, and he is the director of player development at Indiana Wesleyan University. You just got named that, correct?
Correct.
Man, it's unbelievable. So literally, you're 19 years old. Correct me if I'm wrong. A lot of the kids that the players you're going to be developing, the juniors and seniors are older than you.
Right.
You may be are you the youngest director of player development in college history?
Youngest, yes, sir.
Oh my gosh, that's brand new. That is brand new. That's incredible. All right, so 19 years old. Like, how did that even happen? Like, there's so many. I hope there's a lot of players that wanted to get into the business of baseball that are saying, man, like if he did it at 19, so can I. So let's tell the little story about how in the world did that actually happen?
That's a great question, Nick. So number one, starting out, as a youth kid, my parents had me involved in every sport. And I have to give props to them for being such great parents and making so many sacrifices for me, and had an older brother who played at Indiana Wesleyan as well. So he was a great role model for me to look up to as a player and a person.
So it's a legacy.
Yeah,
there.
legacy. A little bit. So he had a fantastic experience there. And obviously, baseball was my first love. And throughout high school, I wanted to play at the D1 level. And Lipscomb gave me that opportunity when I was a freshman in high school, and they do such a great job over there. The whole staff is fantastic, great people, and had a great career there for my first year. And then due to arm injury, I had to stop playing, and so I was still trickling, between playing or, looking at another avenue for my life and what I wanted to do. But, playing wise, it just would have been difficult with what I have going on. So 2 weeks before I was going to make a decision, while I had opportunities to play at, the D1 level, D2, D3 JUCO, Ian McDonald, the head coach of Indiana Wesleyan, called me and said, "Hey, Chase, I've been following you for a little while on social media. I know you're a fantastic player, but for us, we feel you'd be an asset as a coach, and we want you to come here, be a full-time student, full-time assistant coach, and we want you to develop our guys. We want you to recruit. We want you to create personal development charts for our players, and we need you to get in here and be an impact guy for us." So it took me about 2 days, called my family, and my brother and his fiance, who also went there. They were ecstatic, and they're like, "You need to do this." And called some great buddies of mine. They're like, "Chase, ever since we've known you, your dream was to be, the greatest coach possible, the best Power 5 head coach, the best coach. You've always wanted to impact lives. I think you have to take this from where your situation is at playing wise." So that's it in a nutshell. I called Coach McDonald. I said, "Hey, let's do it. Let's rock." So that's where we are. And I'm so fortunate and so excited.
Well, like there was a lot to unpack there, right? So first of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
I think that's a big deal, and it doesn't even really need to be said, all right? But it does. But Coach McDonald, kudos to him for like being relevant in the world that we live in today. And like, dude, that's awesome. That's a great story. And I don't know how long he's been there or where he wants to go or finish and his career aspirations, but like, dude, he's off to like he's doing great things just by that one action alone.
Yeah, no, and the cool thing with Coach McDonald is, prior to taking the job at Indiana Wesleyan, he was an assistant coach this past year, but he was at Charleston, took his first coaching job at Charleston, West Virginia when he was 21. And a lot of their staff members were 21, and they were also coaching guys who were older than them as well. And so we also had a pitching coach at Lipscomb, Will Hawks. He's with the St. Louis Cardinals now. He gave me a call, and he congratulated me, and I was picking his brain on some of his successes. And he said, when I was at Lipscomb, I was coaching guys who were older than me, and those were the guys that sometimes we got along the best, and they were able to take more out of it because we just had a conversation going back and forth on how can I make you better, how can you make me better, right? So it's a two-way street of when I get in there, I want the players to make me better, and I want to make them better, and I want that to be a two-way street. But Coach McDonald is such a great human being, great person, great coach, and couldn't be more excited for the leadership I'll be under.
That's killer. And your college coach as a player was my college coach, the same right. coach, and Coach Jeff Forehand, who's also been a guest right here on the Hitstreak. So you're literally going from who, in my opinion, if he's not the best, he's top 3 in my book, right? Obviously, right. And then it sounds like I don't know. You're the coach you're working with now, but man, like good for you, man. You pick great people to be around. That's that dude. Like proximity is power. Right. You know what I'm saying? So I would say that the sky's the limit for you just based on who you surround yourself with.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I appreciate that. My decision in high school, why I committed so early is I wasn't looking to go to a small school. I wasn't looking to go to a big school, right? I was looking to go to the best fit with the best people. Coach Forehand and the rest of the coaches at Lipscomb, they fit that. It's a great school. Obviously, the baseball program speaks for itself, and their coaching ability also does. But they're just great people, and that's who you need to be around. When looking to choose a school, whether you're looking to be an athlete or whether you're looking to get a certain degree, right? It starts with being surrounded by the right people. And so I've had just 2 great opportunities at Lipscomb, and then coming into Indiana Wesleyan, 2 great opportunities to be surrounded by some great people.
It's awesome, dude. It really is. All right. Well, tell me about Gerbrick Performance, because that was how, when I first got introduced to you, you were a player, but you were also running that, which was impressive online. And I thought, I couldn't figure out for a minute. I was like, well, how old is this dude? His performance stuff, what you put out is really, really good. And I was like, wait a minute, he's still playing. I thought you were done until I found out you were still playing. And it was like, well, now I'm confused, right? So talk to me a little bit about Gerbrick Performance, because most guys don't do something like that until they finished their playing career, and you did it while you were still playing. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, no, that's a fantastic question. It started in high school. So going into my senior year, obviously coaching is in my blood. My mom's dad was a Hall of Fame high school basketball coach. Mom was a coach. Dad coached me all the way till I was 13. He was the best coach I ever had. And for me, I wanted to go into the coaching world, and I loved giving lessons with, the kind of the name I had in a small town. I wanted to help other people just who shared the same passions as me. And so it started like that. I just wanted to post knowledge to, give my community insight. I had no idea it was going to blow up as much as it did. And so it just started, made shirts, and I had a lot of friends who supported me, who bought, shirts for $15, $20. And, it took me a while. When I was at 500 followers,
hold on a minute. The fact that you were that young and could figure out how to make shirts just to sell them is impressive. Okay, it's very impressive. You didn't look for anybody else to make shirts for you. You went out and did it. Right. That's impressive. I'm sorry to interrupt. Carry on, but that's like there's a lot to unpack today.
Absolutely, yeah. So a big thing for me, when starting Gerbrick Performance, I wanted to have something that was going to keep me going, because I saw a lot of people with great ideas. If they wouldn't have quit, they would have been accomplishing some outstanding things. And so for me, I knew it was gonna get tough, somewhere in there, just keeping up with the posting. And so I wanted to have something to keep me going. And so when I hit around the 500 follower mark, I was posting twice a day, giving lessons. I was trying to keep up with my training, with my grades. It was important, my social life. And I got to, I was like, man,
you didn't have no social life doing all that. Your social life was your buddies, your teammates.
And so I was like, I love doing this, but man, this is a lot. And, but then I look back to the shirts and the people that supported me. I was like, I love doing it. I have so many people who are supporting me, so many outstanding friends. I'm going to keep doing it. And so I did. And I'm very glad I did. And so, it started, and now, we're here where we are, a year and a half later. And 50,000 followers, and the followers aren't a big deal for me. It's more the fact that I have a chance to impact players and people, like we touched on, Nick.
It's incredible. That's a big network, man. And you have a big platform. And it comes with great responsibility. When God gives you a platform like that, it comes with great responsibility.
Absolutely. And yeah, I mean, you can speak on experience yourself as well. But, for me, the big thing when establishing this, I was told my family, I want this to be a baseball oriented platform. I was around some bigger coaches, bigger names who are now in the MLB now and having great college careers who've, helped me to where I am playing and coaching. But I want to inspire people to be just great human beings. And so for me to have a chance to have a platform like this to inspire athletes on and off the field, I mean, I think it's incredible, and I'm so fortunate for it.
Folks, we're hanging out with Chase Gerbrick, the Director of Player Development at Indiana Wesleyan University. That's the URL for the baseball program. You should check it out. Is iwuwildcats.com/sports/baseball. You can keep up with Chase on Instagram at Chase Gerbrick, as well as what's the handle for Gerbrick Performance?
At Gerbrick Performance.
There you go. At Gerbrick Performance, right? I didn't want to misquote that. Let me write that down. So got it. And there's a lot of good stuff on there. And that was Gerbrick Performance. I found your personal profile way after the performance one, and the performance one's the one you've been feeding. That's the monster, right?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. And tell me, what's some of the content people will find when they go there?
Yeah, content. If you're a coach, youth player, college coach, pro coach, any level of baseball, you're just going to find a lot of knowledge on the infield side. Growing up, I knew Francisco Lindor, Chris Tremblay, who's a Hall of Famer at Kent State, Doug Sanders, coach at Central Michigan. So, I knew a lot of great resources who helped me and made me into the player I was. And so now I'm able to give that knowledge back and able to learn from guys like Kainoa Correa, who's the leading infield coach with the Giants. He gives me great insight. So I'm always talking and learning. And, my main goal is to, make players love the game, but also come away with a lot of knowledge from that.
There is, he reminds me a lot of our buddy Jack O'Hara. And you know what I'm saying? Two guys that are wise beyond their years. Like you guys are off to fantastic starts. You guys just have a way to getting indoors. And I'll tell you guys, shy guys don't get the girl. They don't get the guy. They don't get the gig. They don't get anything. And this dude is not shy, right? So when he came at me, he came at me very personable and full of confidence, and that was something that was for me it got my attention in a hurry. And then, folks, we've been he's been wanting to get in here for quite some time, and he was relentless in all the right ways doing it, and very positive and fantastic. And I just got to say, man, so if you want to do something like Jack O'Hara's he's interviewed Magic Johnson, some of the biggest people on planet Earth. And he's half the age that I am, right? You know what I'm saying? So age is just a number. It doesn't mean too much, but you guys are definitely you're doing things that are way beyond your years, which means the sky is literally the limit from you as long as you don't quit.
I know. I appreciate that, especially coming from you. And obviously I look up to you a lot and love everything you're doing here. So that means a lot. And like I said, just trying to, inspire people to be happier and live better lives. So that's my main goal.
Well, so you said something a minute ago about when you said you referenced the word quitting, and I want to talk to you about this because this is something we talk about a lot, and this is something that when we were coming back into town this past weekend that my wife and I had a conversation with. When we look back at all of our successes and our failures, the biggest difference when I see our successes and our failures is our successes. We finished whatever it was we were trying to accomplish. And, versus, quitting, a lot of the things that people quit, that they do something for a while and then they just kind of stop. And you might ask them, hey, why'd you quit doing that? And they won't have a good answer. And most of the time it's well, I really don't know. I just kind of didn't do it one day and it turned into a lot. So we talk, I hate quitters, right? But there's the line between quitting and finishing is very, very thin. So I didn't quit playing baseball. I finished my career. Quitters never win. There's a big in my life. It's a thin line between quitting and finishing, but the definitions are miles apart in my opinion, right? So talk to me. What does quitting versus finishing mean to you?
Absolutely. And I think it started at a young age for me. My parents established the rule that, once we sign you up for something or once you do it, you're sticking it out for the full year. You know, for me, growing up, wrestling was my best sport, but I absolutely hated it. But Dad wanted me in it for mental toughness because it teaches you a lot.
Absolutely.
And so I was in that, and 6th grade rolled around. Absolutely hated it. Wanted to quit. And my dad's like, you start it, you're gonna finish it, right? So I finished it, and the next year, obviously, I went to baseball. But I think you know, you have to remember your why. I think that's big. You know, if you love something, you know, there's so many guys who have failed and failed and failed, but they keep going and eventually they succeed. Why? Because they love it. And I think if you're going to quit, it's just because you don't love it enough. So I think, you know, you need to find a passion and just go after it. And we see that all the time on Instagram, you know, reels, but it's serious. You need to find your why, whether that's in sports, whether that's in school, whether that's, you know, in life with your family. Have a why and pursue it. Find a passion and pursue it, because once you find that why, and there are going to be times where, you know, you will get challenged. There's going to be times where you're going to want to quit, but always go back to that why and realize why you started and why you need to finish.
I want to thank all of our loyal fans that spread across all 50 states and 14 different countries. It's absolutely amazing. Folks, help us keep spreading the word, right? Share your favorite episodes with friends and make sure that you are liking and subscribing to the Hitstreak on all digital platforms. Thanks again, and we look forward to more. Man, like, you know, again, I didn't quit playing baseball. I finished my career. Mm-hmm. But like, how many people set a weight loss goal or a workout goal or even like, you know, there's a few text threads that I'm a part of that, like, you know, they go really, really good, consistent. That's the whole thing, is they got to be every day.
Yeah.
Right. And then over time, like, you know, one day we would, you know, somebody just won't do their part. And that's like, you know, well, why didn't you do it? And they're like, yeah, I really don't know. I guess I got busy or whatever. Like, so they literally, that's how you quit versus finish. You know what I mean? And raising kids and everything else. Folks, Dawson Gant's another one. We call them the boy wonders, man. You guys are like wise beyond your ears. All I know is I'd love to get all three of those guys in a room together and see what would happen. You know what I'm saying? And I want to be a part of the profit share and what you figure out.
Absolutely.
Because it's going to be damn good. You know what I mean? Like, holy cow. Do you understand? I know, I'm not to say that you shouldn't be doing the things you're doing at 19. It's just rare. Like, you're not cut from the same mold that most people are. So obviously your parents did an outstanding job, and you probably had amazing coaches growing up as well, because you wouldn't be the man you are today without those. And I know that you're a man of faith as well, and all that stuff. So it's not to poke fun or anything. It's impressive as heck, man, that at 19 years old that you represent yourself the way that you do, and then you back it up from start to finish. You were early getting here today. You know what I'm saying? Like, dude, at 19 years old, I was late everywhere. Okay. If I got there, you know what I mean? So congratulations. Seriously. Life's going to be great for you, and you're going to totally enjoy it as long as you keep the same attitude and the same consistency that you got right now. Just know that there's two sides to life here. The light side and the dark side. And the dark side ain't happy that you're doing as good as you're doing. And it's going to throw as many wrenches in the road as it can to try to get you to look the other way or get off your path that you're on, right? So that was the greatest advice I ever got at 33 or 34 years old. 34 years old when my wife and I got married. It's like, hey man, you made the best decision you could make for your family. But there's another side to this that ain't happy with it. So like, everything that can go wrong is going to go wrong, just to try to get you to go back to those bad habits, to being the person you don't want to be, that God didn't call you to be. And man was Pastor Roger right when he told me that. You know what I mean? But we overcame them. They weren't that big of a deal. And then and life went on and things were great, right? So I would say that, like, it's, you know, it's not about how hard you can hit, it's how hard you can get hit and keep on moving forward. Brother, you got all kinds of momentum that is rare at 19 years old. I'm serious, man. It's incredible. Like, how does that, like, do you understand that? Do you actually get that?
Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. For some reason, you know, I wasn't sure if I mean, my parents did, a great job just introducing me to.
What's their name? Shout them out. I'm serious.
Chris and Michelle Gerbrick.
Man, and you have any brothers or sisters?
Carter Gerbrick, just brother. So I'm the baby of the family.
Really? What's your brother doing?
He's doing medical sales right now.
That's right. So you said he went to same college, right?
Yep.
As an alumni.
Yes.
So he's in medical sales. So he's kicking butt too.
He's doing well.
That's awesome.
So Carter and I are very thankful to have such great parents, but also, great cousins, great aunts, great grandparents as well. But it's sometimes, I will look back on it and be just so thankful for everything that, just for all the people who've helped me, not so much from what I've done, but, people who've helped me to get to me where I am, people who are doing that now, and teammates and, parents and coaches and players who are just, in my corner, every single day. And that's something that, I value so much. And I'm just so appreciative to have that. Looking back, it's not really, like I just said, it's great from what I've done, but just, without the people in my corner. And today, I'm coming down to Nashville to visit teammates, and it's so cool that they're, excited to see me and welcoming me back here.
Are they back on campus yet?
They are. Yeah,
have they started working out yet?
Yeah, they have.
When they start, they just got started.
They're doing some free lifts, some free swings right now. I think practice for them starts around the 18th.
Got it.
But they're starting to get back in the mojo. So it was a perfect time for me to come down, see all of them, wish them luck, and touch base. But like again, Nick, it's just so great having those people around.
Absolutely. Well, again, shout out to your folks, and look, if you're looking for a couple of programs that you should look for, especially if you're a parent, and you're thinking, where should can my kids make the right choices, so on and so forth. So obviously, we love Jeff Forehand here, and obviously they have this is what they recruit, guys. This is what they recruit. This is who you want. Proximity's power. This is who you want your sons surrounded by, and obviously Indiana Wesleyan. They said, look, if he can't play, we're going to get him some other way. You know what I'm saying? Because you didn't you quit your baseball career due to injury, correct?
Right. Correct.
All right. So walk me through what that looks like, because you didn't necessarily have to hang him up, but it was a long road to recovery. It's putting pause on a lot of future life. You know what I'm saying? So how did that was probably one of the hardest decisions you ever had to make.
It was tough, especially since, I wanted to be playing for sure. And, had such great role models, for me walking into Lipscomb as teammates. So many guys took me under their wing, and the coaching staff believed in me, and was able to get my first start on the road versus Mississippi State as a freshman. Short while after, got the start versus Queens, who's in our conference, a really tough opponent. So, couldn't have had such a great opportunity and time playing baseball in college. I'm so thankful for those guys. Midway through the season and through the second half, just battled an arm injury. Had the chance to get a steroid injection in one of the areas, and then later down the road, more areas of my arm, started coming up, and went out to the Cleveland Clinic because that's my home. I born and raised in Aurora, Ohio, and went out there. We know some doctors out there, so they were able to get me in fast, and they kind of walked me through the reality of it. And so, just a very tough choice to make. But for me, it's, I don't want to be playing through an injury and going to a school, playing on an injury, just for the benefits or the negatives.
It's hard enough to get on the field when you're healthy, right?
Right. And so one thing people should know about me is when I do something, I want to give 110% max effort. Whether that's, taking a test or giving a speech or playing baseball, right? Mm-hmm. I've never been a kid to settle for average. So that bugged me a little bit, walking into a school and trying to play with an injury. I knew no matter how hard I tried to play through it, it wasn't going to work out. I tried to do it my junior year of high school. I played on a broken hip my junior year of high school, had a concussion, and just didn't play too well. So just from experience. And so the opportunity came up from Indiana Wesleyan, and this is what I want to do. I want to be around the game for as long as possible. And I thought no better way to be surrounded by great players and some more great coaches at a very awesome institution.
What were some of the biggest adjustments that you learned from, obviously from going from high school to college? The gap is huge, right? And I don't know anything about the high school program you played at, but I do know a lot about the college program that you were recruited to and played at, and it's really good. It's an exceptionally high level, and you're playing against the best in college baseball, right? In the SEC and everywhere else, right? So, talk to me a little bit about that jump, and then what you learned in that 1 year. That only 1 year of playing at Lipscomb that now you're going to take and share that wealth and that knowledge with those future players at Indiana Wesleyan.
Absolutely. That's a great question, Nick. The big thing walking into it, walking into college it's a huge adjustment coming from high school, because you're the best player, on high school team, you're the best player, one of the best players in the summer team, right? And you get into college and now you have 40 best players, right?
That's right. Everybody was the best.
yeah, right. So now you're competing with, and what COVID did was set things back even more, and we have the transfer portal now. So there are guys who are 25, 24 years old, who are rocking it. And it's tough for freshmen right now to get on the field, just because it's a mature game. Guys are bigger, guys are stronger, and that's the big difference between the freshmen and the upperclassmen. But my big piece of advice, it's not going to come from preparation. I think college baseball is very tough to prepare for. I think the thing that you have to do the most, just work. Get up early. Go get a lift in before school. Stay after practice. It comes with the extra work, not team practices with your summer team or team practice with your high school team, but the extra work. But the big thing I tell you, Nick, is finding the fit that's right for you. I think if you go to a program, whether it's Power 5 school or a D3 school or JUCO school, you name it, if it's not the environment for you, you're not going to grow. At Lipscomb, we had players who would, text me and say, hey, like, I saw you doing this really well this week, but we need to work on this. And like, I want to, work with you. And so I would take them up on that. And I had guys who would take me under their wing and work with me on the weekends. They didn't have to do that. Like, that was awesome of them. So for me, it was just a great fit culture wise. And that's my biggest piece of advice to anybody looking to play at the next level is, yes, you need to work. Yes, you have to fit the mold, but you need to commit to a school that fits the environment with the coaches and the players who are going to be great people to you and mentor you and take you under their wing.
So, and I've got some more questions on that, but I wanted to talk, you mentioned those players that basically kind of turned into teammates are amazing. And especially when you get the older ones, some of the people that made the biggest impacts on my playing career were teammates. So at the end of the day, they were mentors, right? So one of the hardest things to do is proximity is power. So when you're looking for mentors, that's as parents, when you're raising kids, you care about who your kids spend time with. And if there's a scene in the Big Daddy movie that I love, when he's basically grilling all the kids in the kindergarten class, and he's like, what do you like to drink? He goes, Yoo-hoo. He's like, Yoo-hoo with a little rum. He's like, Rumpelstiltskin. He goes, you're a good man. The parents are trying to protect their kids from not hanging out with bad influences, right? Because a kid doesn't necessarily know what to look for in a mentor, right? They're following the person that's not in their chosen path. So what do you look for in a mentor, and what would some advice that you would have for those seeking mentorship, and who to pay attention to? Because look, man, there's some people that do accomplish a lot of huge things in life that aren't necessarily a great fit to be a mentor for you.
Right. No, that's such a great question. Number one, you have to find somebody you click with. I think that's important. Because if you aren't clicking with them, it's just not going to work out, right? But there's one kid that I don't want to point one person out, because I had so many people help me along my journey.
Sure.
But when we were on the road, it was me, a few upperclassmen. We were getting food, and I lost like a what are the odds, and it was a dare, and I was gonna do it, and one of the upperclassmen, Alex Vergara, was like, he's not doing it. Like, he's not doing it. And that's somebody that for me. I brag to my parents, all the time about, how much I look up to him and, what he's done for me. But, just the small things like that, like, just taking that leadership, for me, I love being around guys who have that leadership trait and guys who, are respected by other peers, right?
Yeah.
I think you need to be around, the right people. And that goes for, guys who, are taking care of it off the field, got kids who are, grateful for their parents, kids who are, grateful for, where they came from, grateful for the opportunities they've received, and guys who just lead in a positive direction. And lastly, you obviously need to be able to click with that person.
Absolutely. And you might not ever, some of the best mentors you never even meet.
Right.
That's the beautiful thing about social media and how you can use it to help further yourself, is that, right? So going back to quitting versus finishing, folks. So like a lot of high school athletes might stop their career, might quit before they are finished based on an injury. All right. So correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know anything about this part, but this is so when you committed to Lipscomb, you had not played your senior year of high school baseball.
Correct. So I committed when I was a freshman in high school.
Wow.
And so that year I was able to start every year on a varsity team at second base. We had a Penn State kid at short. So I was able to learn from him, and my brother was at first, so I got to play next to him. But then, yeah.
How old is he, your brother?
He's 22.
22
now.
Man, that's awesome.
So yeah, and then as senior year came, that's when I decided to forego the high school season, get a little bigger, stronger, faster, and then play in the summer.
Gotcha. So, just because you maybe maybe you miss a season of high school baseball does not mean that you cannot still get to the next spot. Maybe it might make your path a little bit harder. Like, I didn't get drafted out of college, but I still had still able to play at the professional level, right? Just made it a little, my price tag was just a little different. We say it all the time, life's fair. Everybody's price is just different.
Right.
You know what I mean? So my price was just a little bit different than the guy that I was sitting next to that, got a 6 or 7 figure payday that I never got.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, but those guys took care of guys like me too. They were picking up the tab a lot of times and things like that. So, man, a teammate is forever. So, again, when you're ready to hang them up, it's finished, right? Like literally, those are some of the 3 most powerful words in the English language. We celebrate it every Easter, right? It is finished.
Yep.
Right. So your career was finished. You did not quit. Have you I didn't look back on mine for a very, very long time and say, man, I would love to play one more game, but I don't want to play another season.
Right.
I don't want to do the work to prepare for a season. I would love to play one more game just because it'll be fun. And the last game that I played was an alumni game at Trevecca. And of course, I ain't done anything in a long time, but I hit a bomb that day, and I was like, well, I'm done.
Yeah, I'm done.
I'm finished.
Drop the mic.
That's right. You know what I mean? And it might have been one of the farthest ball I ever even hit there. You know what I mean? It went a long way. But there's a big difference between quitting and finishing, and people don't regret finishing.
Right.
They regret quitting. That's a good one.
You know what I mean? That one down.
But there's one for me. But how many great things do people not accomplish, or how much have we robbed the human race of for people that were put here for a mission? They've got the talent, they got the gifts, and they just didn't see it through and they quit. Like, I feel like you're going to make a big impact on these guys because your story and your roadmap is so unique. I think they'd be foolish not to listen to you and want to take it all in. Like, you're going to be a mentor to these guys. That's crazy.
Yeah. No, it is. It is crazy to think about. Some of them have already reached out to me and welcomed me with open arms. And so that's, again, something that, just can't be any more thankful for. Just being, a 19-year-old going in to help them, and, they're already showing their appreciation and they're excited to learn. But, when it comes to quitting and finishing, it's, I've seen so many kids who are on, such a great path, whether it was kids in my grade, kids below me, kids in, college. And they just quit with something they're doing so well. And because they're frustrated over one thing, or, one aspect goes wrong and they're done. They hang their hats over the one thing that went wrong over the 1,000 things that went right. So, I mean, like we just touched on, you got to go back to your why. And if you love something, you just got to keep doing it.
The Hitstreak is powered by our partners at HitLab Creative Studios. Whether it's launching your brand new podcast, rebranding your current podcast, or taking advantage of any of their other content packages specifically for your social media needs, the HitLab is a one-stop shop for you. Visit hitlabstudio.com for more. Well, we're all big Tim Corbin fans here, and he says a lot of great things all the time, but he said something the other day that really stuck out to me, and he said, I'm reading it here, he said, people who accomplish big things do the small things well. And he said, if your routines become your habits, then your habits become your outcomes. And you know what I mean? Like, so, and at the same time, if you woke up this morning, you're already winning.
Yeah,
right.
I mean?
Like, you're off to a good start. But I'm just blown away because it's so rare to see something like this. Now, check this out. True or false? And you don't know what I'm about to ask you, right? So, oh man, this could get good. So, you would not have been offered that spot, that role of the director of player development at an NAIA university, right? Which is a great program. I played in NAIA baseball, right? Great baseball. You would not have been offered that role had not what you've been doing on social through Gerbrick Performance.
True. Yeah, they wouldn't known anything about me, honestly.
The power of social media when it's done right.
Absolutely.
All right, so we got to unpack that. All right, so like I got to know who'd you learn from, what was your inspirations? Like you do a lot right. The only thing I would say that you need to improve on is just you need more. You just need more of it, like quantity, because the quality's there. It's fantastic. I keep up with it. So like, again, doing something way beyond your years. Talk to me about how you started doing that, how it turned into what it is today. And again, folks, coaches, pay attention to what your kids are putting online, right? Parents, hear me. like they might look at your kid's Twitter or Instagram before they even go watch him play a game. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Kid's good. Oh, we'll go check him out. Let's see what he's doing on Instagram or Twitter, right? So talk to me about how you use that platform. And like, did you even know that it was going to open all these doors for you when you did it?
No, not at all. And I had zero clue. I thought I was going to be at, 300 followers, just my whole time doing it. I was just doing it because I loved it and I wanted to help other people. And that's still, the same mission I shared. But for me, it came about just because I wanted to go into college coaching and I felt, I had so much knowledge to give. I wanted to, spread that knowledge and share the wealth with people who, wanted to get better and people who wanted to go work and apply knowledge to their game, on and off the field. And so for me, it was all self-learned. I had great, mentors in my corner who helped me establish it. And, my family was a big one. But, started with, I've had to rebrand, 3 times because my first logo was okay, but I just wanted to get out there and start posting. I've connected with people, how to market, through hashtags, through, you need to be a great communicator. You need to engage with your audience, right? People message me all the time in my inbox. And for me, I get back to as many people as I can because for me, you're never too good for somebody,
right?
Especially people who want to learn and be better, right? And I think it goes back to why I started it. Number one, to share my knowledge, but to be somebody that I knew how important it was for me to have somebody to look up to when I was a young kid and to be able to follow in their footsteps. And so for those people to be great role models for me, I wanted to do the exact same, and I'm very fortunate enough to be able to accomplish that.
Well, so you mentioned before that you committed to Lipscomb at a very, very young age. Okay. So, and that's rare too. You know what I'm saying? It's not the kid that stages his signing day when he's 12. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But so walk me through one, how did you pick Lipscomb? How did you end up wanting to go there? And then 2, how did you how did that happen at such a young age? It's very rare that happens.
Absolutely. I take it back to ending up at Lipscomb was God's plan. In 8th grade, I filmed the recruiting video. It was the winter time. My dad was hitting me the grounders. Mom was videotaping, and my brother was catching my balls at first. I was throwing them across the infield. Did some BP, and I sent it out. I spent 5 hours sending it out to basically every school in the country. And the next morning I woke up with emails, phone calls, texts, and Lipscomb was not on that list. And so through, 8th grade through freshman year, I was talking with about 30 Division I schools. And my first trip was out to Oregon State, which was great. They do a great job over there, and was able to go out to Kansas State and Xavier, some really great programs. But we, in the summertime of, I think it was freshman year, we played at Lipscomb. Our game got moved to their field. I sent them an email because I knew they were obviously a great program and great campus. And
beautiful facility.
Yeah. Oh, it's incredible. And so I emailed them and no response. So I was like, okay, hopefully they saw it. And then, I reached out to a Colorado Rockies scout who I had been in touch with early on. And he knew one of the coaches there. And so he sent him a message and he didn't hear anything back as well. So ended up going there, and beautiful field. And so right as we got there, one thing that stood out to me, we were 14 or 15 at the time, and Coach Forehand was out there, raking the field and making it look polished for a 14U, 15U team. And I looked at my dad, I said, I want to play for that guy right there. And so, we played there, had a pretty solid game. I think, 2 singles, a triple, and maybe 6 or 7 balls I fielded. And I got a follow on Twitter after, but emailed them again, but still nothing. And, I guess they just happened to be there, just catching a ball game, and was able to set up a phone call with them through a player I knew, and they offered me. And as soon as they offered me, I knew I wanted to take it, but just wanted to make sure we got out there one more time to see everything, because my big goal wasn't to commit early, wasn't to commit to a big school, small school like we touched, but it was to commit to a school that would be the perfect fit. And with how they do things there, it's so incredible. So I was fortunate enough to land there at such a young age.
That's killer, man. That is killer. So you signed at a young age, and then once you commit somewhere, do you keep getting offers? There's a lot of folks will be curious about this. And when you commit somewhere, does that mean that that's how it's going to finish up? You know what I mean? So what does it mean to commit?
Yeah. So the rule of thumb for me growing up was once I commit, I'm done. Like I'm committed, because I don't think it's fair to decommit, from a school once you made a commitment. Right. And that, again, that was a rule of thumb in my household too. Once you make a commitment to something, you're going to finish it out. Right. You're going to stick to your word. And so, yeah, there are guys who verbally commit, which means other schools can still talk to you. You could still decommit until you sign the paper your senior year. But for me, verbally committed meant that, I signed, for freshman year, I signed on, and I signed the paper right then and there. And that's why I wanted to be a part of it. But, I think a lot of kids get so strung up in, going to the SEC, going to the Big Ten. And it's, you got to go where you're wanted, and you got to go where, you're going to be surrounded by great people, great mentors, and just a great community. And so for me, as soon as I committed, I was off the boards. I didn't talk to anybody. I was gung ho on going to Lipscomb, and I'm so glad that I did.
Well, let's talk a little bit about, what you're going to be doing in this new role, right? So walk me through, beside, you mentioned recruiting before. Let's unpack all the stuff that you're going to be doing there. Some of the things you're excited about, some of the strategies and what you're going to implement and things like that. Let's talk about that. So you, when you, have you already set up your office there? This is really, really new. It just happened.
Yes. Yeah. So I haven't been on campus yet. Now I've seen it, watching my brother play and going in and out there, but I'll be down there August 12th, to help assist with our camp. And then I'll be moving in on the 26th. So the 26th is when orientation starts. It's going to be weird. I'm taking on a coaching role, and I'll be a full-time student. So
that's right.
So it's exciting. So once I get there, I'm obviously going to, be able to see everything. And on the 12th, I'm obviously going to, want to see everything as well. But, it's exciting. Office, I'm not sure what that looks like yet. I'm not sure what, all the full-time opportunities and jobs look like for me, but I do have a good idea of what I'll be in charge for, what I'll be in charge with, and I'm excited for it.
So, well, let's talk about the some of the things you're going to be doing for the players there, and then what type of player that you're going to be looking for when you're going back out. So, let's start with the player that you're looking for right now. So, there's life is all everybody's in sales. All right. And you're really good at selling yourself. And that's a huge compliment. I tell people all the time, if you're going to be your harshest critic, you got to be your biggest fan at the same time, just to have some balance. And the more, and I think that a certain level of confidence, and some people would argue, no, if they're confident, then they don't have to sell themselves as hard. But the world is, there's billions of people on social media. It's so hard to stand out. There's millions, tens of millions of baseball players, if not hundreds of millions in the United States today. And you're trying to get, I can't remember the exact numbers. I was looking at the other day, the amount of hundreds of thousands of high school players, if not more, versus once you get to college, the number, it's 10% or less get to the next spot. So obviously, if you don't get noticed, you don't get to go.
Right.
So there's a certain level of salesmanship and self-promotion that is required to do that. But at the same time, some of those things can be misconstrued, and nobody. I want somebody that's confident but not arrogant. Again, It's a really thin line right there, right? So, what are you looking for when you're looking at players? Talk to these players that are out there playing on these travel teams that are looking to commit. What do you want them to see? I tell my guys all the time, dude, you didn't run a ball all the way out.
Right.
You slammed your helmet. You didn't give your teammate feedback on your way back to the dugout from a strikeout. I'm like, that's what they're going to be looking for. That's what I look for the most, is what kind of a teammate you are and how you handle failure. Right. So what are some things you're going to be looking for?
Absolutely. That's a fantastic point. I was, hustling in between the lines. I think it's a big one. When your teammate makes the last out, when he gives his helmet to the coach, picking up his glove and his hat and running it out to him, hustling out an infield fly. I've seen too many of those. Don't hustle them out. You get thrown out. And if that were to happen, you're going to get crossed off right away. Right.
Yeah.
I also love, kids who have a sense of humor and can hold a conversation. I think that's awesome, especially in the world we're living in today with, you just trigger fingers, just texting.
Oh, yeah.
I think, I love kids can make eye contact, can look you in the eye, smile, have a personality, right? Hold a conversation. I think it's so important. Taking care of it in the classroom too. There's so many great baseball players out there, but you need to find the separator for yourself, because there's millions of kids out there wanting to play at this next level, and helping yourself in the classroom is number one. It's huge for you as a player, because there is a life after baseball. But number two, for us, it's important because whether it's true or not, if you're not doing good in the classroom, then how can we trust you to show up early, on time to workouts, early on time to meetings, right? Get your meal prep in for the day, right?
That's part of being a good teammate is handling your business in the classroom, right?
Right.
And I can just imagine being a coach, and I'm like, I want to develop this player and make him, he's a great player, but like how many minutes do I have to worry about? Is he going to even be eligible because of his classroom habits? You know what I'm saying? Like that's a lot of worry. Not a coach don't want that baggage.
Right. Yeah, no. And you're exactly right too. I love, we love kids who are grateful for their parents, who show appreciation. Tom Walter at Wake Forest said it best. He goes, when you come to our camp, we're watching you from the second you get out of your car. Is your shirt untucked? Is your hat off? You look like a slob, or are you ready to go?
Is your mom and dad carrying your bag for you?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Right. We're watching what you're eating at the concession stand, right? If you're eating, sour extremes and sour Skittles, right? Probably not gonna, fit our mold, because we want guys who take care of their health and their eating and show importance to that, because nutrition is huge. If you're waking up in the morning,
killing it.
If you're waking up in the morning, eating a Twix bar and running on Pepsi the whole day, obviously won't be a fit for us, right? And then playing wise, just kids who hustle, compete, and just want to learn. I think that's so important. Just the inquisitiveness to want to be better, and the inquisitiveness to be friendly, get along with their teammates, and have that open conversation with their teammates to have the courage to say, hey, like I think you can be doing this better, or similarly, like I see you're doing this great. So that constructive criticism, but guys who can just take care of it on and off the field.
The Hitstreak is powered by Team Hyder. Team Hyder has been serving you for 11 years and has racked up over 20 national and local awards for excellence in all areas. When it comes to finding the right health plan, we need to consider your family's needs and your family's budget. That's what we do to serve you. To look further and to book an appointment, visit teamhyder.com. It's kind of crazy to think, like I coaching my son's travel team, we talk about a lot of those things. The theme of our season is we're raising our bar. You know what I mean? Our belief, our actions, and our results. That's what we're talking about with that. But, I don't think they actually understand all those other things outside of what you do. It's for whatever reason, it's not cool at 13, 14, or 15 years old to run out of infield fly, to hit a line drive back at the pitcher and still sprint and touch first base. However, you played for forehand and so did I, and we ran everywhere. If we had to go to the bathroom, we sprinted. You know what I'm saying? That was just how it was. And then, so literally it's like one of my first full professional season. And Todd Etler was our pitching coach, and that man did more for me than I can ever say. And we still keep in touch to this day, and it's great. But the first time that I struck out in front of him, I sprinted back to the dugout just like I always did. And he met me at the top of the stairs, and he said, Hyder, with some crazy words in the middle when he asked this question. He was like, what the bleep, 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 bleep are you doing? And I was like, what do you mean? I just struck out. He's like, are you excited about it? And I was like, no. And he was like, you sure looked excited when you sprinted back over here. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I was like, okay. I was like, well, what was I supposed to do? He goes, you're supposed to take the time from the batter's box until you get to the next hitter. That's your time to get over that strikeout. Because when you get to your teammate, you got to tell your teammate what has happened and help him out so the same thing don't happen to him.
Right.
And then when you get in the dugout, you're giving that knowledge to the rest of the team, but you're focused on the next play, which is going to happen out in the field. And I was like, all right. He goes, the information was free, but the team's going to bang you, I think it was $5 or $10 or whatever in Kangaroo Court for sprinting back to the dugout after a strikeout, right? Nice. So that was one of the first professional lessons I ever learned first lesson I learned in professional baseball was like over a season that's that long. They were like, dude, some of these guys that you're playing, I was, 24 years old that season. He was like, well, that guy over there is 37. So like he's got to pace himself.
Right.
You know what I mean? He's going to run when he has to, and he's going to take it easy when he doesn't, so that he can last the whole season. We need him healthy and at max effort, not worn out and stuff. I was like, all right. So it's a bit, I get it now. It's a little different. In college, we weren't mature enough to know the difference when to run and when not.
Right.
Right. So, with some of the other stuff you're talking to, like what do you guys think when you see, look, moms are the greatest ever. Okay. But, as an athlete, it's war.
Right.
And, the rules of engagements are outlined, but it's war when you go out there. It's very competitive. It's cutthroat, and you got to have very thick skin and all those things. So, I heard a college recruiter talking the other day, like, he was like, if your parents are carrying your bags or if your mom's handing you Gatorades over the fence, he was like, dude, we don't want that.
Right.
We don't want that. And like, I think moms would be mad at me if I told them that. You know what I'm saying? But like, so what do you think when you see that kind of stuff?
Yeah, no, that's a great point. No, I completely agree. I think, especially when I played summer ball, my parents were, you're going to get up, early before your game or the night before. You're going to pack your own cooler with, green peppers, with lunch meat and with plenty of water. And, like this is on you. So like, if you want to be dehydrated and be lagging around out there, there's one person responsible for that, and that's you, right? And that's what we want as players, guys who take full accountability for, like you said, doing the little things right. I think that's so big, and it starts with, meal prep. It starts with, planning out what's my schedule going to look like tomorrow with classes, this and that. Do I have to, email my professor to say, hey, we're going to be on the road this week. Anything that I'm missing, can I make that up next week? Yada, yada. So, I think that just shows us when, we see your parents carrying your bag or handing you Gatorades or, kind of babying you, right? We don't want guys who are baby, right? We want guys who are self-accountable and can, handle their own. So I love that you just brought that up.
Absolutely. Because once they get there, mama ain't there no more.
Yeah, that's right.
It's like, then they got to figure it out.
Right.
So I can still remember, my parents took great care of me, and my mama did way more for me than I deserved. And, but I can still remember the first time that I had to do a load of laundry or something like that. Like, it was life-changing. It was life-changing. And the first time that I was on my own, now I was raised, they raised me great. So I didn't bump my head too bad when I went out on my own. I wasn't one of those guys that moved out and came back and moved out and moved back in. The moment that I moved out one time and never came back. So my parents did a wonderful job with that. But I just, man, coaching the kids, like, this is all right. Here's another one of my beefs. All right, so it gets hot in Nashville, Tennessee.
Right.
All right, it ain't as hot. Like, if you go to Arizona, they'll be like, that ain't hot.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's cold.
It's humid, but that ain't hot. And they play baseball in Arizona.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? So we'll be out there, and it'll be in the 90s or whatever. Heat index maybe close to 100. And, the parents are concerned. It's really hot out there. And my response is usually like, well, you play baseball indoors or outdoors? And they're like, outdoors. I'm like, do you play it in the summer or winter? They're like, the summer. I'm like, well, if it's too hot, you can either condition to tolerate it and thrive in it, or you can go play another sport.
Right.
Yeah. Like, it is. I don't know what to tell you. It's hot today, coach. Well, yeah. And it's the same temperature for the other team.
Right.
It's whooping our behind right
Yeah,
now.
that's right. That was always my dad. When I played for my dad, he was, a little more like a tougher, old school guy. But whenever kids would complain about that, myself included, he'd be like, well, guess what? It's hot for them too. Right?
That's right.
Not just for us, it's a two-way street. So, you have to be, baseball is a sport where you have to be mentally tough, whether that's playing through 115 degrees, in Florida, whether it's, you're 0 for 30 at the plate, whether you've made errors, right? You got to be mentally tough and, always, the next pitch, the next swing, right? It's so important, but you got to stay in the present. You got to focus on the next when things don't go your way, and you have to have a short-term memory. And I think that's so important.
Absolutely. So what are some tips for those players besides running balls out and so on and so forth? You mentioned a couple earlier, because this is gold, because the kids, the players won't always do it, but maybe if their parents hear this, then they can help their kids be more accountable, which is going to help them get to the next opportunity, right? So what are some other things that really like stand out to you on and off the field? And obviously social media is a big one. Mm-hmm. Like, it's a big one. And parents, if you're not keeping up with your kids' social, they need that. They do need help with that, because they don't know what's acceptable and what's not. There's a lot of lessons you can learn really, really in a really tough way, especially when it goes online and it's kind of permanent, because you never know who screenshotted it or saved it or whatever. Just because you deleted it ain't gone.
Right.
Having a 14-year-old son, dude, it's crazy. It's crazy what kids are doing with their cell phones and the amount of pictures and stuff that are going out and stuff. I'm like, dude, those are forever, man.
Right.
Like, it's you'll never be sure that it's 100% gone.
Yeah.
Right. So like, it's parents, I feel for you, because it is hard raising kids today, with all the stuff that we have to protect them from. But so what are some stuff that you're looking for in those athletes?
It's a great question. When I was in my younger days, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, I had a fixed mindset. So I'm not sure if that was a result of playing for my dad, who's a little more tougher on me, or that was just, the weaker minded type player I was, when things weren't going my way, I would have a meltdown. And so for me, as I got into high school, obviously the maturity level set in, so that didn't really happen that much. But I met a guy, a great mentor of mine, great coach, Alan Jaeger, founder of J-Bands. Pitchers use it. And we talk all the time about the importance of having a great mental presence, the importance of controlling your breath, visualizing success. And I think for me, from going from that fixed mindset to that growth mindset, that was huge for me. Just getting up every morning and just visualizing myself doing, great things on and off the field, and positive self-talk. I think I saw a stat the other day that was, 80% of the things we tell ourselves throughout the day are negative. And so during the COVID year, that's all I worked on, positive self-talk. And for kids, who are looking to play at the next level, like, if I'm going to watch you and you strike out 3 times, I'm not watching and saying, because I'm there obviously because you're a great player. I know you can play.
Right.
And I know you're going to have bad games. So those are games that we value the most because, you're not doing well in front of us. You're not happy. On top of your performance, you're not performing as well as you want to. How are you handling that? Are you slouching? Are you being mean to your teammates? Are you, jogging and your head's down and you're slouching and you're sitting on the bench while your whole team's up, cheering for your teammates? So crucial. And another thing too, outside of baseball, I hear this all the time, when you're down in the final interview, they bring in, four of the contestants. When, obviously you're all great contestants, but when the other person's talking, they want to look around, who's paying attention to that guy with the body language. And I think that goes hand in hand with baseball. Are you treating your teammates with respect when things aren't going well? Are you still being a leader when things aren't going well? I think Tim Tebow is just a great example of leadership. When things weren't going well for him, still a great leader, still, hustling, giving it his all. I think that's so important. When things aren't going your way, you're yourself, you remain consistent.
Well said. Well said. So I've told everybody all this stuff about you, except for you didn't grow up wanting to be the director of player development at Indiana Wesleyan University. It's a great opportunity and a great program where you'll grow, but it's a stepping stone to the next place, to the next stop, the next step, right? So, Chase Gerbrick, who is he going to be when he gets to that top spot in his career? Who are you? Who is the person? What position are you chasing?
Absolutely. So number one, I don't want to look too far ahead because I have such a great opportunity in front of me and so excited to give, all my effort toward Indiana Wesleyan and make that opportunity the most of what they expect from me and what I expect from myself. But looking long term, I want to be a head coach at a big time school, and I want to be a head coach who does things the right way. I think in the world we're living in now, it's a lot of it's cutthroat, and it is a business, and sometimes at that high of a level, you have to do that to be in the competition with the best schools. But for me, I want to be a coach where players look up to, where players can come to me outside of baseball and ask me for help that's going on with their lives, or just share with me what's going on with their lives. I want to be more than a coach.
Right.
But my goal is I want to coach at the highest level possible, impact as many lives as I can, and just be that rock for players or people outside of baseball to look up to me. And I think it's so important. I've connected with Tony Vitello and Tim Corbin, and they're the best of the best, and they've responded to me and are willing to set up a phone call with me and teach me what they've learned. And I think that's so awesome, because they don't have to do that. They're the best of the best, and they could just, this is a 19-year-old, I'm doing what I'm doing, and this is how it's like I don't have time for you. But they're, given time to talk with me, which is so awesome. And those are the kind of coaches that I want to be, who give time and, just are great people outside of the game. I think that's so important.
Well, the cool thing about you, I mentioned before, how almost relentless you were to, once you decide, hey, I want to talk to this guy, by God, he's going to do it. You know what I'm saying? So, it was multiple attempts, because there's multiple. I have a whole team that manages my social media accounts. Like, they see stuff before I do sometimes, these direct messages and everything else. Not a lot of people know that when sometimes a team member might be responding and it's not Nick, it's them. You know what I mean? So, but again, you were relentless in those, and I can imagine it probably ain't easy to get Vitello or Corbin's attention. Although I will say Tim Corbin has never gone more than 24 hours without a response to me or my father, for that matter, which is unbelievable. I'm sure the amount of volume that he gets is incredible, right? So, so tell me, like, did they reply the first time back to you? Did you have to hit them up a couple times? Like, because like folks, you got to understand that like everything's in the power of the follow up, and like in a lot of the industries that we're in, the sale's made on the 8th to 13th offer, not the first or second offer. So like if you don't get to the 8th to 13th offer, you didn't get the deal. Right. You know what I mean? You didn't get what you wanted. So what was that experience like for you working, contacting those guys?
Absolutely. They're both incredible. They, first day they responded. Vitello and I had some familiarity with each other because, I kind of knew him a little bit in high school, and we got to email back and forth a little bit, but Corbs was new, and, I look up to him tremendously, and both of them, they do, so many great things. But, for me, going back to that, during the recruiting process, there are some times I emailed a school one time and, we were on the phone. Other schools, it took 21 emails, Duke and UCF, I bring them up all the time, 21 emails for them to finally say, okay, we love that you're interested. Like, let's talk. And so that persistence, at least for me, like we just touched on, if, my rule of thumb is if you really want something, go do it, make it happen. If you want something that bad, go get it, go do it. Because I think there's a level of persistence, what's the worst that's going to happen? You're not going to hear back from somebody, or they're just going to say no, right? It's worst. So for me, it's, staying hungry and always wanting to learn and just being a sponge. I think it's so crucial to be a sponge. That's why I'm here with you, learning from you and just being a sponge every single day and learning from friends, teammates. And I don't care if you're in the coaching world and, you're the best of the best and there's, a travel coach. If 99% of the things he's saying are wrong, there's got to be 1%, something you can take from that guy. That's going to be right. Something you can agree with. So just always having that sense of, familiarity with yourself, to just be a sponge and always want to be persistent and learn. I think that's so crucial.
Absolutely. And I can't stress enough the persistence, the follow up, the, just staying on it. Like I met my wife in 2002, I believe it was 2002. That was when I asked her out the first time. My first date was 2007.
Nice.
So either I'm really persistent. We know that, but maybe my game wasn't that good back then. Maybe. But no, man. Again, if I'd have gave up, I mean, she's the best thing, next to our kids in my life today. Right. Besides my Lord and my relationship with my Lord and Savior, right? So, man, and my kids who are just, I couldn't imagine life without them. I wouldn't have if it wasn't for that persistence, dude. It's unbelievable. So, all right, as we bring this sucker to a close, is there any final notes, final thoughts that you got for everybody out there? Anything in particular? And it can be anything you want.
Absolutely. No, I always love closing with something like this, because I think like this was, primarily a baseball podcast and just focused on my journey. But, I think so many things that I want to share just go beyond baseball, things, whether it's in school, whether it's in baseball, we preach on the little things so much, hustling on and off the field, doing, the little things right, because it's going to carry over. It's going to carry over into your life. It's going to carry over with whatever job you do. And if you're doing one thing, just half doing it, if you just half doing it, then, that's just going to carry over, whether it's, a great guy to learn from is David Goggins. He's a little intense, but he went from 450 pounds and just not motivated, and something clicked. Woke up one day and said, "Boom, I'm gonna do this, this, and this. I'm not gonna negotiate with myself. I'm done putting half effort toward, the person that I want to be. I'm on board with myself." So I think, not negotiating with yourself, setting goals, whether that's in baseball, in life, in the classroom, I think it's so important, and chasing after what you want to do in life, going after it, getting things done, and finding your why, and, staying true to that. I think it's so important.
The Hitstreak is powered by RAC Financial. When it comes to your credit card merchant processing, RAC Financial is efficient, reliable, and trusted. At the end of the day, when it comes to processing your credit card payments, they make it simple, the way it's supposed to be. Check out RAC Financial. Yeah, those non-negotiables, you got to have them in all your journeys, right? So there's certain things like, our buddy Cole Thurman of one of our partners here at the Hit Lab, he talks about that a lot. How he's like, like for me, even if I'm sick, whatever, like I just can't miss a day of a workout, right? Because if I miss one, it's easy to miss 2 and 3 before you pick it back up. So it's all about momentum. So he's like, even if I just feel like total trash, I'll go do just enough to say that I worked out to keep the streak going. And so that's a non-negotiable for him. And all the greatest minds that we talk about and that we look up to and that have accomplished the greatest things, all of them have certain non-negotiables that are just are a constant power, and they're consistently done throughout their life over and over and over again. Because at the end of the day, we're all just you're either consistent or inconsistent, but you have your momentum. You're consistently inconsistent or you're consistently consistent. You got momentum going one way or the other, and that was the hardest pill for me to swallow back in the day. I don't do those things well. No, there was patterns in life. We have seasons. There's 4 seasons that every single year: spring, summer, fall, and winter, right? Mm-hmm. And we plan for those seasons, right? Dude, your career has seasons, right? Busy times, slower times, and all those type things. So if you treat life's seasons just like the seasons, it's amazing what you can do with those things and create non-negotiables to life's going to happen, seasons are going to happen. And my son and I like to work out the way I worked out. We don't have heat and air. We train in the variables in which we're going to play in, right? So that I was like, Dad, can't we get, it's freezing in here, 25 degrees. Can't we get a heater in here? He goes, you ain't going to play in the heater, son. So, all right. And thank God, thank God that was ingrained in me. So my son and I work out, it's like 150 degrees in our garage when we work out right now. But it's awesome and we appreciate it. So non-negotiables, that's a great takeaway, dude. That is a great takeaway. Anything else?
Absolutely. I think, just to touch on one more thing you said is when you're fully committed to something and you set a dream for yourself, there's going to be times where you wake up and you don't want to go, you don't want to, go do something, whether that's, I have to lift today, but I don't want to, those are the days that you have to get it done, because what's going to set yourself apart is from, the rest of the competition, who has that mindset down. Well, today, I don't really want to do this today, but I have to, I have to do this if I need to get where I want to go. And in order to, I would tell you, set yourself up for high standards. And, the reason that you're going to know you're setting yourself for high standards is once you start, hitting blocks of things you don't want to do, that's when you're on the right path. So I think the biggest thing I've always went by my whole life is the further you can get out of your comfort zone and learn to be comfortable in an uncomfortable situation, the better. So I think the more you can do that, you'll be set.
So defining commitment, when you commit to something, you're not just committing to whatever it is you're committing to, but you're committing to everything that goes with that commitment, right? Yeah. So absolutely. That's awesome. Well, dude, congratulations on your new role at Indiana Wesleyan University. They're going to be absolutely glad as the longer time you spend there that they brought you on board, that they did something that is, again, I'm going to go search the internet for another university that's made a move like this. It's incredible, dude. Congratulations once again.
Thank you so much. And absolutely, think the world of you and what you guys are doing here. You guys do such a great job. And I appreciate, you guys investing in me as well, as to come on here and give some insight, and, absolutely love what you guys are doing. So thank you for everything. And I've had an absolute blast.
Boom. Folks, we've been hanging with Chase Gerbrick, the brand new Director of Player Development at Indiana Wesleyan University and the founder of Gerbrick Performance, on Instagram at Chase Gerbrick and at Gerbrick Performance, and online. Check out the baseball program at Indiana Wesleyan University at iwwildcats.com/sports/baseball. Folks, thanks again for tuning in to another episode of the Hitstreak. I am your man, Nick Hyder. God bless.